think the big news of the week for TNA, and it's exciting news, it's also a little bit scary, is that Leon Slater will be teaming with Javon Evans to take on AJ Styles and Dragon Lee on John Cena's final match on Saturday night's main event tomorrow night. Obviously, Leon Slater's stock has risen greatly, and I think that's going to be pretty awesome for him. It's going to be awesome for TNA for a little bit because his star is going to rise significantly from being on that show. And it appears that he was handpicked by Cena because Cena really wanted an influx of young talent on that show because, Javon would be one of those guys. Leon, Obafemi's on that show. Sol Ruka's on that show. So a lot of young talent he wanted them booked to give them the shine, and I think it's really cool. And I don't think it's going to be very long until we see Javon Evans on a full-time WWE deal. We saw it with Jordan Grace. We've seen it with Joe Hendry. Like, that's the pattern. They're not taking a ton of talent, but if you are really over like Joe Hendry was, or if you're ultra talented like Leon Slater and Jordan Grace just came off like a star, and WWE catches wind of it, they're going to get you, especially for somebody like Leon Slater, whom Tony Khan would covet. I think Tony Khan would be tough to outbid in that situation. Now, with this TNA partnership, they might have the inside track on securing those talents a little bit early, which is what we saw with Jordan Grace. And we saw with Joe Hendry too. Like, Joe Hendry was basically full-time NXT since the summer, while still taking TNA dates because TNA they do so many less dates. That was always going to be the problem with partnering with WWE is, if they have a talent that they want from your roster, they're very likely they're going to get them. But guess what? That was always the problem with WWE, whether you're partners or not. At least if you're a partnership, you get some, you get something on the back end. I mean, TNA doesn't really get this TV deal without WWE's help, right? I think the Hardy Boys played a factor in that, but the biggest factor was the WWE partnership, and that really did come to fruition with TNA. I'm not really liking the partnership here in Q4 because of the talent that TNA's had access to at the end of the year, which basically a bunch of scrubs. Like, I think High Rise might be pretty good. I think Charlie Dempsey's actually really good. He might lack some of the charisma that WWE likes, but I think that he's really good. And if he doesn't make it in WWE, I think he, could make it in TNA or AEW. I think he's that good. He's a pretty good wrestler. But this is a big deal for Leon, and you can't be anything other than excited for him. And it's like, oh damn, TNA's gonna lose Leon, but it's like, you know what, Leon is so good. They were gonna lose him anyway at the end of this contract. There was no way they were going to be able to fight off Tony Khan. There was just no way. Because Leon Slater's a young Will Ospreay, 100%. I think I said that on Twitter, and a couple of people scoffed at that because he works for TNA. It's like, you guys are morons. You're obviously not watching the kid go. I don't think that Will Ospreay would even argue that point. And in fact, I would say at 21 years old or 22, whatever he is, he's ahead. He's a better wrestler at 22 than Will Ospreay was at 22. Will Ospreay may have been more spectacular, but I think Leon Slater's already working kind of a main event style. And he can do this. He could do everything that Will Ospreay does. I just think he's just working with the old heads at TNA, telling him to slow it down a little bit and sell more and do all that stuff. And he's like doing it. And he looks like he's ready to be a main eventer. The problem with him right now is he looks so damn young, and that might hurt him on their main roster. He might actually have to be in NXT for like 2 or 3 years. So, or in the case of Javon Evans, like I think Mark Henry said, he should be there for 15, which is wild. But I think Leon Slater is going to be like the next really big star in pro wrestling. He is going to be right up there with, Will Ospreay for sure. All right, let's get to some of these chats. We got Legacy says a bunch of deals are ending this month. Who is staying? Who is going? Unfortunate rumor is that Wentz and Trey are leaving. I haven't heard that rumor, but I think it might be true. I could see them going. They've been with TNA for a long time. I know Wentz left for a little bit and then he came back. Where they would go, I bet the WWE would probably like to have them. I think Tony Khan would be foolish not to offer them a deal. Of the Rascals group, I think these two guys are like the most charismatic, and they're really good wrestlers. I think they would work in AEW. I think that they would do well in NXT. Wentz already has done pretty well in NXT, and he just left under controversy, but seems like all is forgiven. Time heals all wounds. I bet they'd like to give him another shot. But, if you're TNA, I don't think you want to lose these guys because you don't really have like that many cool people on the roster. Like, you don't really have anybody that could attract the girls and the teenagers, and the Rascals are really your only acts that would do that. Like, you got Leon. I think Leon could attract some young people, but when the WWE signed the Rascal, when they signed Wentz and Desmond Xavier the first time, the idea is that they were bringing in somebody to like attract young people. I think they were still a Full Sail at the time. And that seemed to be like the idea behind it. And I get it. Like, that's smart. They're cool. They're hip. They're, good looking dudes, a little small, but I think they would attract the young people, and it sucks. But it wouldn't shock me to see them leave for sure. And in fact, the fact that they brought like the pattern with TNA is they never bring in a new tag team or a new knockout without somebody leaving. It's like they have a quota, or like it's almost like they have like a limited number of roster spots. And so they just introduced the Righteous over the weekend, and that makes sense because probably the Rascals are leaving. And I don't see Myron Reed and Desmond Xavier being a tag team. Desmond Xavier's not signed either. I think Myron Reed sticks around. I could see Desmond Xavier sticking around too. And then Wentz and Trey going somewhere else. So let's see. George says it'll be awesome getting him with more. He's talking about Leon, getting him with more eyes, and then being able to see him in a month later on AMC for sure. Leon's deal is ending this summer. I think it ends at the end of 2026, but it would not shock me to see Leon go to the WWE in the summer. Gerard confirms what I said. He signed till October, November. I've asked about right now. WWE stance is they can get Leon whenever they want for what TNA is paying him. That can always change in short order. Let's see. Aren't all Rascals guys as good as Leon or better? No, I think that Leon's probably like they're probably better wrestlers right now, but the upside is with Leon for sure. And I think Leon's like 6'1". He's got that slender body. He could probably put on a little bit more mass, and that's why I'm saying he's like Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is a big guy, and he was doing all those crazy junior heavyweight X Division style moves for years. And then he moved up to heavyweight years ago in New Japan. And like, he just never looked back. And he's like one of the great heavyweight wrestlers that we have in the world right now. And I think Leon's in that. I think Leon will be in that same boat. I think I see the Rascals being what they are right now, which is a fun attraction, having really good matches in the mid card, occasional tag team champions. And then of course, each guy can take turns with the X Division title. I don't ever see them being main event wrestlers. They're really good wrestlers. I just don't see them getting past the main event. None of these guys, they don't really take themselves very seriously. And that's okay. Like, you need those guys on the card too. Leon Slater does. Leon Slater's got the great backstory. He does like the emotional promos. I know Wentz can occasionally, but everybody sees it in Leon. And I don't think anybody sees it in those guys. And that's not a knock on those guys. Like, some people are elite, right? Some people are really good. Some people are elite. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. It was a football conversation. And, there's rumors that Joe Burrow wants out of Cincinnati. And because he keeps getting injured. They're not really taking care of him. Like the team's going nowhere. He feels like his career is probably going down the toilet. I think same issue happened with Carson Palmer there years ago. Same issue happened with Matthew Stafford in Detroit. Joe Burrow is going through it right now, and I suggest like the 49ers need to go get Joe Burrow. And they're like, why? Well, they got Brock Purdy. He's good. I was like, Brock Purdy's a really good player. He's a really good quarterback. He's not elite. There's a difference. Joe Burrow is elite, right? Patrick Mahomes, elite. Lamar Jackson, elite. Josh Allen, elite. Brock Purdy's that next tier down, and so like, would you trade him for Joe Burrow? Like trade him a couple picks for Joe Burrow? Of course. That's kind of where I see acts like the Rascals versus an act like Leon Slater. Leon Slater's elite. Leon Slater's next level. He is a guy that, and he's 22 years old. He's a guy you can mold him into being a major star for your organization. And I in TNA, I could see him being a world champion. If he were around for a couple more years, I would put the title on him like this year. For sure. Now it looks like we're probably going to lose him, so I don't think you want to do that now. You can have the conversation and see what it looks like, but I don't think you would do that now. But zero chance that they get to keep him.